Hello everyone. Welcome to Nightmare Horrors. Thank you for joining us for another episode of true scary horror stories to help you relax and fall asleep. I know this story is meant to help you fall asleep, but before that, please make sure you like the video and subscribe. Without further ado, let's dive right in. Lay back, relax, and enjoy. California, a land of beauty, endless beaches, and sunlit dreams. But what happens when the sun sets and you're left all alone in a house perched on the edge of the unknown? Tonight, we follow Mia, a 17-year-old spending a weekend alone in her family's luxurious coastal home. She thought it would be just another quiet night by the ocean. But what she didn't know was that the house she called her sanctuary held secrets older than the cliffs it was built on. By the end of this story, you might think twice about being home alone, and you'll never look at the ocean the same way again. Mia's family home sat on a rocky cliff, overlooking miles of sparkling blue ocean. It was modern, sleek, and surrounded by nothing but endless waves and untamed wilderness. The nearest neighbor was over a mile away. At night, when the lights went out, it was just Mia, the wind, and the sound of the waves. Her parents were away for a business trip in San Francisco, leaving her to watch over the house. She wasn't scared. She had done this before. But tonight felt different. The house seemed unusually quiet, the kind of silence that pressed against your ears. The air smelled faintly of salt and something else, something she couldn't place. She spent most of the evening texting her friends, joking about how eerie the house felt when it was empty. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the ocean in shades of gold and crimson, Mia thought she saw a shadow move along the edge of the glass patio doors. She dismissed it as a trick of the light. After dinner, Mia decided to explore the house. She rarely ventured into the basement, a cold, expansive space her dad used for storage. But tonight, curiosity got the better of her. In the far corner, she found an old wooden box tucked behind a stack of furniture. It was covered in dust, and etched into the lid were the words, "Do not open." Inside, she discovered photographs of the house's original owners, a family from the early 1900s. The photos were yellowed with age, showing a husband, wife, and their daughter, Elizabeth, who appeared to be about Mia's age. But something about the family seemed off. Their eyes, even in the photographs, looked hollow. The last photo showed Elizabeth standing on the cliff behind the house, her face pale and expressionless. Scrawled on the back of the photo were the words, "She's watching you." That night, as Mia settled onto the couch with a movie, she heard a faint tapping sound. It was rhythmic, deliberate, and coming from the glass patio doors. She turned off the TV and walked toward the doors, peering into the darkness. The ocean stretched endlessly before her, illuminated by the pale light of the moon. But then she saw it. A faint handprint smudged against the glass. She froze, her breath hitching. She had locked the doors, hadn't she? Slowly, she reached out to touch the glass. Her hand hovered over the smudge when the lights flickered, plunging the room into darkness. Over the next few hours, the unsettling events continued to escalate. The wind chimes outside began to tinkle softly, even though there was no breeze. Upstairs, she heard faint footsteps, even though she was alone. Her phone buzzed with a text message. It was from an unknown number. "You're not alone, Mia." Her heart pounded as she typed a reply. "Who is this?" No response. Moments later, the house's motion-activated lights flickered on. Through the window, Mia saw a figure standing on the edge of the cliff. It was a girl in a white dress, her hair billowing as if caught in a storm. But there was no wind. Mia locked all the doors and windows, her hands trembling. She called her parents, but the call wouldn't connect. The power flickered again, and the temperature in the house seemed to drop. She decided to check the basement, hoping to find the circuit breaker. As she descended the stairs, the whispers began. Soft at first, like the rustling of leaves, but they grew louder, filling the space around her. At the bottom of the stairs, she found a door she had never noticed before. It was small, wooden, and carved with strange symbols. Her curiosity waged war with her fear. Slowly, she turned the handle. Behind the door was a narrow passage, leading to a candlelit room. In the center stood the same girl from the photograph, Elizabeth. She was staring at Mia with hollow, unblinking eyes. "You shouldn't have opened the box," Elizabeth whispered, her voice echoing unnaturally. Before Mia could react, the candles blew out, plunging the room into darkness. Mia ran back upstairs, but the house had transformed. The walls seemed to breathe, and the whispers followed her, growing louder with each step. The glass doors shattered, and the cold ocean air rushed in. Elizabeth appeared again, this time at the top of the stairs, her face contorted in anger. "You let me out," she hissed. Mia grabbed her car keys and fled into the night, driving as fast as she could down the winding coastal road. She glanced in the rearview mirror and saw Elizabeth sitting in the back seat, her hollow eyes glowing in the darkness. Mia swerved, the car skidding to a stop. When she turned around, the back seat was empty. Weeks later, Mia moved out of the house, but the nightmares followed her. She would wake in the middle of the night to find her windows open and the faint sound of wind chimes. They say the ocean hides many secrets, but some refuse to stay buried. If you ever find yourself alone in a house by the sea, listen carefully. If this story sent chills down your spine, like, share, and subscribe for more terrifying tales. And remember, the ocean isn't the only thing watching. There's something about being alone that can either feel liberating or terrifying. For 18-year-old Ethan, home alone in a sprawling California mansion, the isolation wasn't supposed to be dangerous. But as the night unfolded, he realized that the shadows in his home weren't just tricks of the light. By the time he understood the truth, it was already too late. Tonight, I'll take you into a story that will make you question what hides behind the walls, beneath the floorboards, and in the dark corners of your own home. Stay with me, if you dare. The story begins in a modern, glass-walled mansion perched on the hills of Malibu, California. Ethan, a high school senior, is house-sitting for his wealthy uncle and aunt, who are on a week-long cruise. The house is breathtaking, with floor-to-ceiling windows that overlook the Pacific Ocean. But the house's isolation also makes it unnerving. The nearest neighbor is half a mile away, and the winding roads leading to the house are surrounded by dense woods. Ethan spends his first day enjoying the luxury, lounging by the infinity pool, exploring the house's private library, and playing video games in the media room. As night falls, the house becomes eerily quiet. The first sign of something unusual happens while Ethan is exploring the wine cellar in the basement. He notices a heavy iron door at the far end of the room, secured with a rusted padlock. His curiosity piqued, Ethan asks his uncle about the door in a text. His uncle replies quickly, "Forget it's there. It's nothing you need to worry about." Shrugging it off, Ethan heads upstairs to the kitchen. As he's preparing a late-night snack, the security system chimes. Front door opened. But when he checks the foyer, the door is closed and locked. Later that night, Ethan is watching a movie in the living room when he hears a faint sound, like someone dragging a heavy object across the floor above him. He pauses the movie and listens intently. The sound stops. Ethan convinces himself it's the house settling or an animal on the roof. But as he heads to bed, his phone buzzes with a notification. Motion detected in the living room. He checks the security camera feed, but sees nothing. Yet, when he looks closer, he notices something chilling. One of the dining chairs has moved slightly, though no one is visible. The following evening, Ethan decides to investigate the iron door in the basement. Using a flashlight, he examines the padlock, noticing scratch marks around the edges, as if someone had tried to claw it open. When he leans closer, he hears faint whispers emanating from behind the door. He stumbles back, his flashlight flickering. He decides to leave the basement, locking the door behind him. But as he climbs the stairs, he hears a distinct sound, the padlock rattling violently. Over the next few hours, the activity in the house becomes more aggressive. 1. Furniture moves. Ethan wakes up to find the dining table shifted several feet from its original position, with the chairs arranged in a circle. 2. Lights flicker. The lights in the hallway turn on and off randomly, and the bulbs in the bathroom explode while Ethan is brushing his teeth. 3. Footsteps. At night, he hears footsteps pacing outside his bedroom door. When he checks, the hallway is empty. Ethan decides to call the police, but his phone loses service. The house phone, too, is dead. Desperate for answers, Ethan returns to the basement the next night, determined to open the iron door. He finds a crowbar in the garage and pries off the rusted padlock. The door creaks open, revealing a narrow passageway lined with stone walls. The air inside is damp and cold, and the whispers he heard earlier grow louder. At the end of the passage, Ethan finds a small room containing a wooden chair, chains bolted to the floor, and scratch marks on the walls. On the chair rests a faded photograph of his uncle and aunt, standing beside a young woman. Scrawled on the back of the photo are the words, "They lied to you." As Ethan turns to leave, the iron door slams shut behind him. His flashlight flickers out, plunging him into darkness. The whispers turn into guttural growls, and he feels a cold hand brush against his arm. He stumbles back, his heart racing, as the flashlight briefly flickers back on, revealing a figure standing at the far end of the room. It's the woman from the photograph, her eyes hollow and her mouth twisted into a silent scream. Ethan sprints back to the door, pounding on it and screaming for help. The whispers grow deafening, echoing around him. Suddenly, the figure lunges at him, and the flashlight goes out again. Ethan feels icy hands gripping his shoulders, pulling him back into the darkness. With a burst of adrenaline, he breaks free, slamming into the door with all his strength. It bursts open, and he scrambles up the stairs, slamming the basement door shut behind him. Ethan grabs his car keys and races out of the house. As he drives down the winding road, he glances in the rearview mirror and sees the woman standing in the driveway, her hollow eyes glowing faintly in the darkness. The next day, Ethan confronts his uncle and aunt. They reluctantly reveal the truth. The house was built on the site of a mental institution that burned down decades ago. The iron door was meant to seal off the institution's old tunnels, where patients were reportedly tortured. Ethan moves out, but the experience haunts him. At night, he hears whispers in his dreams and wakes to find faint scratches on his bedroom walls. The final shot lingers on the mansion at sunset. In the large glass windows, a shadow moves, watching. They say the past never truly dies. It lingers, waiting for someone to uncover it. If you're ever alone in a house with locked doors and hidden rooms, ask yourself, what were they trying to keep out? Or worse, what were they trying to keep in? If this story left you questioning what might be lurking in the shadows, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And remember, some doors are better left unopened. What would you do if, late at night, you saw someone staring at you through your window? Would you call for help? Would you hide? Or would you open the door? This is the story of Lily, a 17-year-old left home alone in a quiet California neighborhood. She thought she was safe in her own home, but the stranger at her window proved otherwise. Stay with me as we unravel a tale of paranoia, suspense, and unimaginable terror. The story takes place in a quiet suburb near San Francisco. Lily, a high school senior, is spending the weekend alone while her parents are away on a business trip. The house is a typical two-story home with large windows and a spacious backyard bordered by thick woods. It's a rainy Friday evening, and Lily is excited for a weekend of freedom. As the rain pounds on the windows, Lily curls up in the living room with her favorite horror movie and a bowl of popcorn. The first hint of unease comes when Lily's phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Do you always leave your curtains open? Startled, Lily glances at the living room window. The curtains are drawn open, revealing the dark, rain-soaked backyard. But there's nothing unusual outside. She shrugs it off, assuming it's a prank, and blocks the number. Later that night, while Lily is brushing her teeth, she hears a faint knock. It's so soft, she thinks she imagined it. But then it comes again, this time louder. She hesitates, her heart racing, and moves to the front door. Peering through the peephole, she sees no one. As she turns to head upstairs, she hears it again. Not from the front door, but from the living room window. She creeps toward the window and cautiously pulls the curtain back. Her breath catches in her throat. A man is standing outside, his face partially obscured by a hood. He doesn't move. He doesn't blink. He just stares at her. Lily locks all the doors and windows, her hands trembling. She tries calling her parents, but the call doesn't go through. She texts her best friend Kayla, but gets no immediate response. Minutes later, another knock echoes through the house, this time from the back door. She turns off all the lights, hoping the darkness will make her invisible. But as she peers out from behind the kitchen counter, she sees the man's silhouette moving around the house. He stops at each window, pressing his face against the glass. Phone call from the stranger. Lily's phone rings. The caller ID says unknown. Against her better judgment, she answers. A distorted voice whispers, "I see you." The power goes out. The house plunges into darkness. Lily grabs a flashlight and retreats to her room, barricading the door with a chair. The stranger gets inside. A loud crash downstairs shatters the silence. Lily realizes the man has broken a window and entered the house. Desperate to escape, Lily remembers the attic hatch in her parents' closet. She climbs up, hoping to hide until help arrives. As she explores the dusty attic, she finds an old chest. Inside are photographs of her house from decades ago. But in every photo, there's a man standing in the background, always near a window, always watching. One photo sends chills down her spine. It's a picture of her, taken from outside her bedroom window just days ago. Lily hears heavy footsteps climbing the stairs. The stranger is searching for her. She tries to stay silent, but the old floorboards creak beneath her weight. The footsteps stop, and she hears the man chuckle. "I know you're up there," he says, his voice echoing through the house. The attic door bursts open, and the stranger's face appears in the dim light. Lily grabs a rusted crowbar from the chest and swings it with all her strength, hitting him in the shoulder. He stumbles back, but instead of retreating, he laughs, a low, guttural sound. Lily scrambles out of the attic through a small window, climbing onto the roof. The rain makes the shingles slippery, and she nearly loses her footing. The man follows, crawling through the same window. In a desperate move, Lily jumps to a nearby tree, grabbing a branch to break her fall. She lands hard, but manages to run toward the neighbor's house, screaming for help. The neighbors call the police, and Lily watches as officers search her house. They find no sign of the man, no footprints, no broken glass, nothing. Her parents return the next day, worried but skeptical of her story. They suggest she imagined it, blaming stress or an overactive imagination. Weeks later, Lily receives an envelope in the mail. There's no return address. Inside is a single photograph of her house taken from the woods. In the photo, her bedroom window is circled in red, and a message is scrawled at the bottom. Until next time. What would you do if you were in Lily's situation? Would you confront the stranger, try to escape, or call for help? Have you ever experienced something similar? Maybe a sound you couldn't explain, or a shadow where there shouldn't be one? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts and theories about who or what the stranger might have been. They say our homes are our sanctuaries, the one place we're supposed to feel safe. But what if someone else doesn't agree? What if, even now, someone is watching your house, waiting for you to pull back the curtain? Remember, the next time you hear a knock on your window, think twice before looking. If you enjoyed this story, hit like, share, and subscribe for more tales that will keep you up at night. And always, always keep your curtains closed.